Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Choice podcast. So we have episode 4 today. Regina, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fine.
Hello.
So, before we begin, I've gotten some feedback from some of my students, and they really enjoy our podcast. So thank you for the feedback. That's good to know. And if you have any ideas about future episodes or anything that you would want us to talk about, please feel free to write in the comments or let us know at the school, and we'll try to include it in our future episodes. Also, if you're not following our VK group or Telegram group, I usually say this at the end of the video, but I'm not sure how many people watch it to the end. So I'll say it in the beginning. Subscribe. I have a goal. I'd like to get to. We have almost 1,800 followers on VK, so let's try to get to 2,000. It's a good start. So yeah, so subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe. Also, this is episode 4, so I think it's time to get us on YouTube. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. So Regina, how are you today?
As I said, I'm good.
Yeah, good.
The
So
weather is good.
yeah. Oh, the snow's almost gone. This weekend's supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
So we released these episodes a week after we do it, so probably talking about last weekend was beautiful by the time people watch it. Or today is beautiful because I try to get these on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's supposed to be like plus 20
Yes.
next week, so or today plus 20 for those watching it on the day we release it. So you're usually the one who introduces the topic. What's our topic today?
Our topic
There you go.
our topic today is native speakers overrated.
Are native speakers overrated?
So overrated means people pay too much and expect too much for native speakers, right?
Think too much. Yeah, think too much. That's native speakers are the best. We could have a very short podcast today if you just say yes or no. Are native speakers overrated? And then goodbye.
No.
No? So,
I recently I discussed this topic on yesterday actually
mhm.
with my piano teacher.
I'm listening. Check, make sure we're recording. Yeah. Okay.
I visit piano lessons, and my piano teacher is also our student, Brandon's student.
My student.
Yes, and by the way, we study piano in English.
Yeah.
So we have all the lesson in English. We speak English, and she explains me in English. And we were talking about native speakers recently, and why people at a certain level they have to study with native teachers. And like my teacher Maria, she told me that she doesn't understand people who at like higher level study with Russian teacher. So because there is no point in this. And I agreed with her because I think at a lower level it's important, it's very important to study with Russian teacher because you need grammar explanation. Plus, sometimes it's easier to give equivalence with Russian. For example, like Russian teachers, they know some tricks for lower level students, how easily remember grammar rules compared to Russian language, and give examples in Russian. For example, if in Russian you think this way, you say in English this way.
Yeah.
And for lower levels, it's good because you get basic grammar rules and you learn them. But I think from intermediate and higher, you need to practice with native teacher.
Yeah, I agree. So in our school, what we do, for groups starting at intermediate, we split the group. So one Russian teacher and one me or Michael. Michael's not the native teacher, but he's not Russian, so he doesn't know Russian. So we have an intermediate group. Does Michael teach it?
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't have the time for it, so he teaches it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're still holding true to this fact. Yeah.
We even have intermediate group where Michael teaches both lessons.
Good.
It's actually teens group.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's in our school, it's a big problem. For example, when people study elementary, pre-intermediate with their Russian teacher, and then they finish pre-intermediate, and we tell them, so now one lesson a week you will study with native teacher, and they're against it.
Yeah.
It's like there is like one, maybe two people in the group who say, oh yeah, it's cool, let's do it, but most of the people say no, and some people even so scared they're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fine. I can understand all these people because it's like psychological barrier, and they think that like I'm not ready, I don't have enough knowledge, and it's a big step to overcome to your next level.
I always have great respect for the students who come to me. So a lot of the students who come to me, they're nervous for the first lesson. And I've seen so many times that I'm sitting with like the first free consultation that we do, and they're shaking, like lip is. And for me, it's great respect because that's difficult. Like, so they're nervous there, which means they were nervous the whole time leading up, and they came anyways. And it's something that they don't need to do it. They're stepping out of their comfort zone to do it. And usually after the first lesson, they're like, oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. But the fact that they came in the first place, it's awesome. And I always have great respect for them. And it happens so many times. Like, just relax, don't worry.
It's usually we do it like preparation. Our administrators do it, or if I'm in the office, I do it. Like even one of our clients shared this, that she came to our school for the first time for the first lesson with you, and she was very scared, very scared. And she came a little bit earlier and was waiting in administrator room, and I was there. And I talked to her like about like different topics not connected with English, and like made her relax a little bit, like that she came, she understood she in a friendly atmosphere, that no one is gonna judge her. It's also a big problem because like in Russian schools, like public schools, they got used to like some judgment. For example, when I studied at a school, my English teacher told me that I'm a terrible student, and when she found out that I was going to pass English exam, and she told me that I would never pass English exam. And
Yeah.
Hello, if you watch. And
did you pass?
Of course, I passed. I entered a university to become an English teacher, and also I studied for free. So my English, I passed my English exam with the score that was enough even to study for free.
So she was wrong.
Yes, but like she judged, and also in school they don't teach speaking. It's not like teacher's fault, it's like just I think time. 45-minute lesson, 15 students, bad behavior, half of the students don't even need English, and they like teachers spend a lot of time for like calming students down, checking homework, explaining, so they don't have time for like speaking practice. And so they judge students' knowledge only by grammar rules, like grammar exercise. And so what causes this? I think they do grammar exercise, they make mistakes. Teachers tell them like, you are bad, you don't know grammar, you have a lot of mistakes. And when they come somewhere and they need to speak, they have in their head, I don't know grammar. How I'm going to speak if I can't even do grammar exercise correctly? Yeah,
and that's something that we'll talk more about later, or we can talk about it now. Is like the differences between like a Russian teacher and a native teacher. And I should play devil's advocate a little bit, because I do think that it's also a good thing to study with a Russian teacher as well. I think once you get to a higher level, yes, a native speaker is more useful, but at the same time, that native speaker needs to be a good teacher. They need to know how to teach. As we talked about in a previous episode, when I first came here and started teaching, they didn't train me to be an English teacher, and the school just said, "Oh, people only want to talk with you. They don't care if you teach them grammar," and that's wrong. So you need to have a native teacher that can teach. So with the idea like are native speakers overrated, there's a lot of points in that question, because if the native teacher doesn't have experience, overrated, because you can't just learn English just by listening to a native speaker. We have a lot of advantages. So for example, which is why it's good when you get to high enough level. When you come to my lessons or an experienced native teacher's lessons, we use natural English. That's something that a lot of Russian teachers can study it and they learn it, and especially if they also communicate with a native, they can pick up a lot of these phrases. But like I teach in my lessons, for example, a very common phrase, we have shit and the shit. And you know the differences between.
Mhm.
So little English lesson for you. If somebody says something is shit, we're gonna get demonetized on YouTube. But I guess in Russia we don't make any.
We can say beep.
Yeah, beep. Somebody says beep. If somebody says it's shit, it means it's very bad. If somebody says it's the shit, it means it's very good. So you just have these little differences, and that's just one example that many Russian teachers aren't going to be able to teach you. And when you're in a lower level, you don't need to know that stuff. Lesson number 1 shouldn't be what's the difference between shit and the shit. But as your English gets better, you gotta learn these things, and you gotta know these things.
And the same, like I can compare, for example, again with my piano teacher, I know she учится. Hello, Maria. And I noticed with her, as she studies with you, she always tries to explain. Like she doesn't ask me immediately, oh, how to say this word, how to say this word. Like if she doesn't know a word in English, and like she tells me a story, she tries to explain it like in a different way. And I know that this skill people get by studying with native teachers.
Yeah. So you can do that with a Russian teacher, but they have to be very, very disciplined. And
disciplined, but also it's psychological. It doesn't work this way. Like your brain understands that you can ask this person, and this person will translate for you.
Yeah.
And this will always be in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you study with native teacher, you don't have this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain understands no one helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're alone.
I have no friends.
Yeah.
So let's move on and let's talk about so we're going to talk about why people think that native speakers are better, and what are the strengths of a native teacher, and what are the weaknesses of a native teacher, and we'll do the same with Russian teachers, and then talk about how to maximize your ability to learn English and how to maximize the lesson. So first, why do you think people just have this belief that a native teacher is the best?
I think there are several reasons for me personally that I noticed. First thing, a lot of people think that like I don't need to study anything, as we discussed it before. I just speak English and learn it this way. So that's why they are looking for native teacher, because they think, oh, I find a native teacher, I won't study grammar, I won't study anything, I won't do homework, I just come to lessons, speak with native teacher.
So they think it'd be easier.
Yes, some people think that this will be easier. And second thing is going back to what I have said, that some people, like they have this, I forgot the English word, They have
You
this,
can explain it.
I remember. They have this image of an English teacher from their school or university.
Mm-hmm.
And so they think that, like, oh, Russian teachers, they don't know anything. And, like, they are not so qualified.
Mm-hmm.
What, they can't teach me anything. Like, and they don't believe in skills and knowledge of Russian teaching.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think also to add to that, I think the common belief about a native speaker, which we touched on a little bit, is the clearness in the speech. So, no strong Russian accent. So, yeah, so that we speak clearer, that we use more like real terms. I call like street terms, which in previous episodes we talked about before. That the book teaches pain in the neck, when in reality we don't say pain in the neck. We say pain. He's a pain in the ass. So we have more like real language. And then the other which is also true to the point is that so a language school pays a lot of money for a native teacher to come to their school. We are lucky because we have me. Choice didn't have to fly me from the U.S. and pay for my plane tickets, pay for my visa, pay for all of this. So we have me. I'm a cheap worker, I think. But the average language school has a native teacher. They have to do that. They have to pay for that. And so what they're going to do is they're going to market the hell out of this person and say, oh, you must study with a native teacher. So the other thing is just the marketing. Native teachers are better because we have to pay a lot of money for this person, and we need to get back that investment.
And also we had recently the situation, we have a new student, he is a teenager. Very interesting story. He studied in a different school with native teacher. He studied in a group. And this native teacher kicked him out of the group.
Yeah?
Yes, he said that like he is a very bad student, he doesn't feed the group, that his only way is to study private lessons.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, I think maybe they wanted to get more money for private lessons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they paid a lot of money for this private. They started studying private lessons, paid a lot of money. And then they came to us. And they wanted to study also. They wanted to try, because this teenage boy, he wanted to study in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked us to study in a group, but the time they needed, we don't have groups with native teachers at this time. So we offered them lessons with our Russian teacher, not actually Russian teacher, now Armenian teacher, foreign teacher, foreign teacher we call him. And he studies now in a group, in the teenage group, and he's perfect in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Even recently we had at the weekend we had like event where teens played Mafia in our office, and he hosted this event.
Oh, yeah?
He was like the leader.
Oh, he's the one who's always doing a lot of like drawings for the school, like with our logo.
No, it's a different.
Oh, it's a different. Okay.
But from the same group.
Okay, well, it's a good group.
Yeah, it's a good group, and so like he fit the group perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels very good, and he has a lot of friends. He's now going to our camp, and so I don't know what happened, but for me it was strange that the school kicked him out from the group because this native teacher was unhappy.
Yeah, but that goes to what the next thing is what are the negative sides of a native teacher. So whenever we debate something, you got to talk about both sides. I'm a native teacher. I can sit and talk only great things about native teachers, but we have our negative sides. I don't. I'm perfect, but it's a joke, by the way. So I'm not perfect, of course, but we have our negative sides. So what I have what I think in my mind. What's your opinion? What are the negative sides of having a native teacher?
having native teacher as a teacher or having native teacher as a worker?
That's a private discussion. As a teacher, no negative sides as a worker. So,
Absolutely
yeah.
no.
But I'm not a worker. I'm part owner. So.
But I mean, like, as a person who teaches, like a teacher.
No, as a teacher, yeah. Let's talk
Okay,
about
as a teacher. As a teacher, I can't think of a negative.
There's no negative things?
No, should I think like an employee or should I think like
No, as a student.
As a student?
Yeah, so if you're the student of, and I get this a lot. A lot of people can think this about myself because they have this kind of stereotype before they come into the lesson, and one of them is that. So in the U.S. we don't learn grammar. When I first started teaching, I had never heard the term past perfect. I had no idea what a first conditional is, and so a lot of people have the stereotype, and it's true in many cases, especially for inexperienced native teachers. We don't know how to teach grammar.
I think for me it's difficult to judge because like both native foreign teachers we have, they all have experience. Like,
but you remember me in the beginning.
Yeah, but now it's difficult.
Now it's difficult. Yeah,
back
of
in
course.
Time and because, for example, Michael, we have Michael. Like I can say, Michael is very educated and has a lot of skills, teaching skills, and he can teach anything.
Yeah.
Like teens, kids, adults. He knows grammar. He knows like a lot of things. So for me, I personally like always recommend people to study with Michael at any level.
Yeah.
But for me, if I think of disadvantages for, as I said before, only for lower level students to get basic.
Yeah. Well, it's different here because here so are two foreign teachers, I would say, because Michael's from Colombia, so we can't exactly call him a native teacher. But the two foreign teachers, we both have 10 plus years experience teaching. I would say in Russia, that's very, very rare where you have that. Because, and I looked at this before. So if you want to be a teacher, you want to teach English in different countries and stuff, most countries require two things. You need a CELTA certificate. CELTA is it's a Cambridge course. It's like the standard for teaching English for native teachers. Mm-hmm. You need the certificate to teach.
Not only for native teachers, for anyone.
Yeah, for anyone. So if you want to teach anywhere in Europe, in most countries in Asia, you need the CELTA certificate. And the other is you need 3 years of experience. How do you get that 3 years of experience?
I work.
you come to Russia. So because most schools in Russia don't require a CELTA or 3 years of experience. So I think many native teachers who are coming to learn, and this isn't a knock on any native teachers, they just don't have the experience. And even with the CELTA certificate, they don't have the experience. And so the ability for them to teach grammar can be challenging. I remember my first couple of years. It's kind of the especially my first year, fake it till you make it. I remember I had a group of teens and they said, "Oh, what tense is this?" I was like, "Oh my God, I have no idea." But of course I didn't tell them. So I did the thing like, "Oh, what tense do you think it is?" And someone was like, "Past perfect." And I asked everyone else, "Do you agree? Do you agree? Do you agree?" Yes, you're right. Past perfect, very good. I had no idea what past perfect was.
No, that's why I think in such cases it's better for schools if they have a native teacher who doesn't have experience to split the group.
Yeah.
And in this case, like grammar is taught by a Russian teacher 1 lesson a week, and second lesson a week is like speaking, listening practice. But also to do listening and speaking practice, you also need to have some skills. Yeah. Because especially for upper intermediate advanced students, you can just sit and speak with them. Mm-hmm. But for lower level students, you can just come to a lesson and say, "Okay, hello," and no one will speak to you. Mm-hmm. Like they don't know how to speak. And some people don't know how to speak in Russian, not only like how to speak in English.
Yeah.
So they need some basis. So I can say like there are disadvantages of like having a native teacher as your teacher, but as I said before, it should be done from a certain level. Yes, from elementary, pre-intermediate level, you can study with native teacher, but this native teacher should be very experienced. This native teacher should have special certificate teaching English without using native language.
Yeah, like Michael.
Like Michael. It's like Michael advertising this video. No, but I mean, like, but that's true. Like, if your teacher doesn't have these certificates, they won't be able to teach you.
Yeah. But another thing is, so the certificates. It also goes to like kind of what's the style of the school. So 2 years ago, I went to England to teach English, and I don't have a CELTA certificate. I would like to get a CELTA certificate, but now you have to go to another country and you have to be there for a month, and it's a very expensive process. So I don't have a CELTA certificate. But so 2 years ago, I went to it was like a summer camp in England for students from all over Europe, so French, Italian, German, everything. And I was an English teacher there, and all the other teachers had the CELTA certificate. So I was kind of like the ugly duck in this situation. But the leaders from different schools from all over Europe, they bring their students, and they would visit all the classrooms. And at the end, they said that my classes were the most interesting and the most like involving and everything. And the reason is because they have their CELTA certificate. They're teaching very strict. You know, there's schools where like you study for exams, and so you learn the grammar, you do exercises, and I was teaching the lessons how I teach in choice, because we can prepare students for exams, but I think the majority of our students are just coming because it's a hobby and they want to learn. And so I was teaching it this way, and it was a summer course. So it's just more about, you know, of course there were grammar lessons and everything, but it was more about fun and learning through enjoyment. And in the end, the next year, I was offered director of the camp. and all of these teachers just came back as teachers. So everyone just kind of recognized. And I don't have this certificate. So you just have to know the style in which the school needs to teach. CELTA certificate teaches you how to teach, but it doesn't teach you how to teach, if that makes sense. And that just comes through experience.
It's like we have situations sometimes when people study with a Russian teacher, a tutor, and then they come to our school and say, we want lessons with you, like with native teacher, but we stay with our tutor. Like, so they study with their tutor somewhere and then come to lessons with you here. And their tutors go crazy, like in these situations. And then these people call, and like I explained these people, like, we can't adjust our program to your tutor's program. Like, that's why I don't recommend people to do this. Like, if you study with your tutor and you want to stay with your tutor, stay. Maybe find a friend abroad who you can talk to. But if you come to our school, it's better to fully follow our program, because like their tutor don't understand what's going on, and they like ask them question, why does he do this, like they don't understand like our system, how we teach. And this for a lot of tutors, they don't like, that's what you explain, like to make lesson interesting, informative, but like we don't follow like this strict order. And so for some teachers, they just go crazy about it.
But it's the difference between, like, for example, it's the difference between like studying for an international exam and studying to learn English. It's completely different. Like the speech, all of that. So like I can prepare a student for an international exam, and then after I almost have to reteach them English. Because the answers in the speaking part for these is just very formal, and when you're standing on the street speaking like that, it sounds not good. So a lot of like private tutors. I don't call out Russian teachers. We have a lot of Russian teachers here at the school. great teachers, but they teach to our style, and a lot of other like maybe tutors online, they teach to their style, and like you said, a lot of times they're contrasting. So someone comes in and they tell me like, oh, it's a rather lovely day outside. Like, no. It's not. Oh, but my teacher taught me you would say it's rather lovely. No, it's a nice day outside. The weather is good. No one in England or in the U.S. will talk, oh, rather lovely day outside. And then so then they go to their tutor and they say, oh, Brandon says it's not a rather lovely day, and then there can be an issue with that.
Also the problem with Russian teachers, like our teachers don't have this problem, but like some private tutors, that they don't have English practice, and themselves, because especially now with like all the problems going abroad and so on, like they don't improve their English, and so they are so concentrated with teaching by the book that they forget about like speaking. Natural speaking.
But I have a lot of students, and you know this, that are English teachers,
and
not for our school, because they recognize this. They recognize this fact too. So they, I have a lot of students who are private tutors, but they come to study because they want to kind of naturalize their English, because they understand what they're studying in books isn't working. Or if you're teaching a lot of kids all the time, you're just teaching present simple, past simple, present simple, past simple. What's your favorite pet? What's your favorite color? your English level.
Favorite food?
Yeah, you could be the best teacher of kids, but if you only have kids, you're gonna slowly start losing your higher level of English. We're a little bit over time. We try to keep these about 30 minutes, but we should get into just we'll do it really quick because we're talking about native speakers. So real quick, what are the advantages of studying with a Russian teacher?
So you can learn some topic much faster. As I said before, that like Russian teacher can compare some phrases with Russian, and like, for example, native teacher, they would have to explain it for like an hour or 30 minutes how to use it, and like Russian teacher can just say, okay, ask this question and you will understand, like use this and this, like in Russian language. So this advantage, so you can learn some things much faster. Second thing, maybe at a lower level, it will give you more confidence, maybe studying with Russian teacher, because they support you, they don't speak fast, they speak slowly, and for lower level, as I said in our first video, that it's easier to understand your native accent. When you like at elementary level, it's easier for you to understand Russian person speaking English than native teacher speaking English, because you are not so good at pronunciation yet, and so you don't understand this like word connections and so on. And you can practice, and the Russian teacher understands these problems, like when they teach, because you don't understand like where people can't understand and why they can't understand some connections with words. And like Russian teachers, as they themselves studied English some time ago, they know all these things and they help their students to overcome them faster.
So, and another thing in general, and it should be this way, Russian teachers are usually cheaper.
That's also true.
And sometimes I'm in shock when I like see prices that some Russian teachers charge. So I can tell all of you, there's no magic program for studying English, and you should never pay way over market price for a Russian teacher. It's ridiculous.
Agreed.
So it's the same as like I often compare learning English to going to the gym, because your brain is muscle. Just like so you would never pay 10,000 rubles for a gym trainer. because what extra are they going to give you? Like, yes, maybe there's gym trainers who have more experience, and yeah, a gym trainer with more experience would have maybe a program that could suit. They could understand what type of program suits you best, and yeah, you can pay a little bit more for them. But you should never way overpay. There's no magic program, and if any teacher claims to have a magic program, they're a scam artist. And I'm sorry if there's a magic teacher, but that's something that really annoys me when I see these teachers that are charging way over market price, and I don't know, it's stupid. Sorry if any of y'all are watching, but it's stupid. So
Okay.
well, yeah. So I guess in conclusion, so in my opinion, I think lower level, it's good to study with Russian teacher. If you have a native teacher that has the training and the ability to teach a lower level, it's good too. But I still think maybe it's sometimes a good idea to mix it. Once you get to pre-intermediate, intermediate, I think it's a really good idea to have one Russian teacher, one native teacher. Because, like for me, I don't speak Russian. And so I can explain something, and sometimes it's good to then take this knowledge that you learn and then check it to make sure you understand it with a Russian teacher. But once you get to upper intermediate level, advanced level, yeah, native teacher is probably the best way to go, because most of this grammar you've already learned anyways. It's just kind of the next level with the nuances, and then the vocabulary is much more. And it's good when you have these more complex topics to talk about, like in advance, to talk about economics and all that stuff. It's good to have someone who can clearly and properly explain it to them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Agree.
Absolutely agree.
Absolutely
So,
agree.
well,
Okay, so we finish here.
yeah, let's finish. Do you know our topic for next week?
What?
It's going to be learning English as a kid versus learning English as an adult. So,
We can interview some of our kids.
yeah. We have some teenagers who've been studying here forever.
Forever. Don't
Yeah.
scare people forever.
Well, no, I mean, no, but they just like it. So they started when they were, what, 7 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one student who came to me study alphabet, now studies with me.
Yep, I think I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So, all right, well, thank you all if you made it to the end. Congratulations. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, I love to hear your feedback. Regina loves to hear your feedback as well. So leave a message in the comments or talk to us at the school. We love to hear good words, but if you have some suggestions about how to make it better. I know sometimes we have a problem with the audio. That's something that we're constantly trying to fix and resolve. So hopefully it gets a little bit better this time. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.